Jones, and good morning. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Ms. Wesley to the board, representing the State Personnel Board, and on behalf of CalPERS and the team here, we really look forward to working with you as well. And just real quickly, we also want to express our condolences to the family of Sam Davis. We know that he served CAL FIRE with a deep commitment to protecting the citizens of our state and was equally passionate about protecting retirement benefits for members of his local firefighters 2881. We will miss seeing Sam in the board meetings. We'll miss seeing Sam in the stakeholder meetings. And I know he made many friends here at CalPERS as he was working through many member issues directly with our team. So on to other business. Stakeholder forum. I think the forum was quite successful based on the survey and the feedback that we received through the survey. We did set out some clear information about our priorities on our three primary lines of business, being pension, health, and investments. And through the survey process, I think the top feedback that we had received is that the stakeholders would like to be in the same room together. So we had separated the stakeholders by the stakeholder type, so active member representatives, employer representatives, and then retiree association representatives. And so the feedback really was that we restructure so that the stakeholders could be together throughout the sessions while also maintaining the size of the room so that the discussion and the questions could be done in an interactive manner. So in the meantime, that's just one way that we interact with our stakeholders. Obviously, we have several other means by which we do that, including stakeholder phone calls. We have quarterly stakeholder meetings with all three of these groups. And then we certainly try to show up for as many meetings as we can to explain what's happening here at CalPERS. So before I go on to other business, I'd also like to take an opportunity to recognize Kim Malm. Kim was recently appointed to the chief of the newly created Strategic Health Operations Division in our health branch. As you know, Kim has played an important leadership role in the health program for several months, leading the teams through health rate negotiations and serving as the interim health chief during our recruitment for the position that Don Molds is now in. And for many years before that, Kim led the Operations Support Services Division. And you'll get a chance to see Kim operating in her new role when we meet for the Pension, Health, and Benefits Committee in March. So turning now to some outreach activities, there were several employer events. And typically the way that I place my time is in three areas that we've identified as key risks to the system. The one is around investment risk, the other is about employer affordability, and the third is around climate risk. So there were several employer events this last month, and those were really intended to discuss the priorities and also address the questions that continue to come in from many of our public employers who are participating in the plan. The 20-year look back continues to be the predominant piece of information that the employers wish to speak about. I think that has had the effect of doing some myth busting about what happened to a fund that was super funded at 128% about roughly 20 years ago to the fact that we're roughly 71% today. And I think that chart does a really nice job of explaining the events that have happened, not just CalPERS events, but events that have happened in the market. So the day after the last month's stakeholder forum, I did visit with the League of California Cities Policy Committee here in Sacramento, which was a new opportunity for us. And there were about 100 people in attendance who represented a variety of roles from either financial managers to elected officials. And this group, again, was very interested in hearing about the risk mitigation policy, of which I know many of you have expressed keen interest in understanding that policy and the fact that it came out of suspense and is back in effect. So that will be on your, I think it's the April agenda for action. The following week, I had two engagements. The first was here in Sacramento with Orange County members from the Association of California Cities, and they were in town for their annual legislative day. And this is a group of about 40 leaders, primarily by elected officials, and they were getting ready for their visits with legislators, and CalPERS continues to be a topic of much discussion for the employers. And we wanted to make sure that they had understood all of the work that had been done from the last 12 months that I had met with them previously. I did talk with them about what's been done to continue to strengthen the fund, and strengthening the fund meaning also getting accurate information out to be discussed. And again, we'll continue to speak with these groups as long as the invitations continue to come in. And then later that week, I spoke at the annual conference for the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers throughout the state. This is the fourth time that I've had an opportunity to speak to this group. And we had a number of our actuaries. Our actuaries are quite popular with this group to really sit down and explain to the employers the valuation reports and what those valuation reports mean to their contribution rates. And it's a fairly complex system when we have, you have the lowering of the discount rate that was done in 3 phases, and then you ramp it in each one of those steps over 5 years. It's very difficult for employers to anticipate their rates ongoing, which is why we also created the Pension Outlook tool. And we did have people there who were doing demos of the Pension Outlook tool. We had members of our Employer Accounts Management Division, Renee, who was there talking about independent contractor, which is another item that has been coming up more frequently in our visits. So we'll continue to get out there as often as we can to give good information to the employers who are trying to make decisions about their budgets and about their resources. And then lastly, Board Member Middleton and I were on a panel discussion for another League of California Cities event. This time there were about 500 city managers in attendance. And this is the second year that we've had an opportunity to present together for the League's members. And then that panel helps cover the scope of the pension discussion from 3 perspectives. One is the pension administrator and how we administer the benefits and what the benefit programs look like, how it impacts local governments, which Board Member Middleton was able to talk about, as well as the role of the board in making decisions that impact our employer community. And then there are a couple more engagements to finish out the month and kick off March. At the end of this month, I'll be headed to Washington, D.C. for the National Association of State Retirement Administrators annual conference, and I'll be doing congressional visits while I'm out there talking about the topics of investing in China, as President Jones mentioned in his report. So I will close now with the investment performance year to date as of December 31st, 2019. The 2019 calendar year return is 17.3. The 3-year return is 9.4. The 5-year return is 7.1. The 10-year return is 8.4, and the 20-year return is 5.7, which includes the 08-09 financial crisis, which is why the 10-year return is up over 7 again. And that does conclude my remarks, but I'm happy to take questions.